All right. All right, welcome to the stream, everybody. Gonna get my phone fired up so I can monitor the chat with everybody, because you know I love doing that. We're gonna talk today about the Boss IR-2. The Boss IR-2, right up here in the, well, you can't really see it. Can you point, Corey? There we go. All right, it's hard to do. But that's what we got the split screen going on here. Of course, we can get you a better, closer look here like that when you're feeling frisky and want to see the controls up close. We can do that, and of course, we can go back here. I'm excited about this podcast series, or this live stream series, we should say, because we're going to take a look at gear that comes out. You know, a lot of times stuff gets dropped by a company and it gets forgotten about. There's launch day videos, and then there's not enough like education on the products out there, because somebody might want to spend their $199 on the Boss IR-2 here and you know, not know a whole lot about the features. Now, I can't say I'm going to be an expert every week on all of these products, but I'm reading the manuals and deep diving enough so that someone can watch this video and hopefully enjoy it. So, how's my sound check, everybody? BV, how's the sync looking? Are we okay? I think we're good. I've been testing it a lot. We got Jeremy Baker, David. Oh man, great to have you, David. Such a talented artist in his own right. Bob P, Blake himself. I'd love to get a sound check from our good moderator, BV, who has freed up his schedule to join us today. Yeah, so we're talking about the Boss IR-2, and that's what you're hearing right now. You're just hearing the Boss IR-2. So I'm getting thumbs up. That sounds like a good confirmation. Yeah, everybody can see, everybody can hear. So the Boss IR-2, listen to all that. So what we're doing is, coming out of this guitar, this is my trusty 1967 ES-335 that's been a dream guitar for me. I'm so happy to finally have a guitar I've been lusting after. And we're gonna come right into this MXR Mini Timmy pedal. Imagine this is just like a normal guitar setup. Then into the Boss IR-2, that's gonna function as our amp. And then we have the Golden Reverberator from Universal Audio. And I want to talk a little bit about the patching situation. You have a mono input here, and then you have a channel select, which we could add a remote foot switch to this guy if we wanted to. And there's an effects loop in it, and the effects loop is what the Golden is plugged into. Now you could, of course, just come out of the pedal and go right into the out of this pedal, right into the reverberator, then back into your amplifier or your PA system or whatever you're running through. But I wanted to take advantage of the effects loop since we had it. And that's pretty much the controls. Now this is going stereo to my Universal Audio DAW and my Universal Audio Apollo interface into my software that runs it to you guys. Now, I'm getting a good tone in my ears. Hopefully it's going out to you guys well. And what we're doing is, we're going to take this time today to go through as many features and controls of the IR-2 as possible. Look, this is obviously an ampless solution that that Boss is trying to bring in a small package. The IR-200 is the big brother to this, and of course they have all their processors and whatnot over the years that has a lot of this stuff. But what we can do is I can actually bring the manual in, and you can see as we scroll through the manual a bit, we can talk about some things, and we can go through this together, which is really, really cool. And this is going to be the most important page here that tells us what the amp models are. But let's take a look at the front panel before we do that. Now, let's go over here, and you'll see that we have our amp selector knob here. This is going to give you all of the amp types. This top row of knobs, now these types of knobs they're called concentric. And this is a very common thing. You see them on recording consoles and that sort of thing, where there's knobs stacked on top of each other. So there's two functions on one knob. The bottom row is your EQ, your bass, middle, and treble. The top row is your gain, amp level, and your ambience, which is essentially reverb. Now, why they didn't call it reverb, I don't know, but it's reverb. And you actually have the choice to get under the hood of this pedal and actually change some of those ambient sounds. I did that so I could get a nice plate reverb, and it's okay. The other reverbs are a hall, and I believe there's a room as well. We could talk about that later. So if we go back to our picture-in-picture here, again, we have our whole rundown, and what you're hearing is the twin sound, and they call that TWN for twin, like a Fender Twin, right? Oddly enough, there we go. And I like that they do that. I get really frustrated when companies will see in the manual, they get a little too artsy with the names of stuff. Let's just call it what it is, or as close as possible without having to pay copyrights, because that's part of the problem. And you'll see here that it's got the green light on. And when you plug in this pedal, it's automatically on. There's no like a normal Boss pedal where you're disengaging it. It's on because you wouldn't turn your amp on and off. The mix sounds a little uneven. Oh, there it is. That's why, because the right side was cranked a little too hot. Okay, that's better. And you see that I really took the mid-range down because I wanted it to sound even more Fendery, and it could get pretty woolly if that bass knob gets turned up too much. So they're pretty active EQs on here. But Fender amps have that sort of, you know, scooped sound, and I want to make sure we get that. All right, so there we go. I'm gonna leave the main camera here like this for a moment. So what's cool is that's already saved. There's no save function on this other than an automatic one. It's actually saving as we go. They say about 2 seconds goes by and then it's saved to the green channel. If I click the switch, it's going to go to the red side, which would be another amp model entirely of your choosing. And that one I remember is the actual Bassman setting. So it's more of the Fender Bassman style. And I gained it up a little bit so that I could go back and forth. And I can go crazy with the reverb if I want. Or back it down. Pretty dry there. So that's sort of like the basic, you know, the basic functions of this pedal. But we really want to take this opportunity for someone to watch this video in an hour and say, wow, I really understand all these amp models and all the settings. Because that's really where they're getting you, is for $199, they are putting a lot of stuff on this one knob. Now, I'm mentioning the price. We got links to sell this stuff that are affiliate links that help out the channel. But I want to tell you, these sorts of videos that I'm doing in live stream fashion are with products that I bought. I actually purchased this. This was not donated by Boss or Sweetwater. There's no sponsor here. So I'm going to let it have it. Like if there's something I don't like, we're going to talk about it because I think that's important. A lot of it's going to come in the accuracy of the amp models and in typically like the description or lack thereof in the manual. I'm not a fool. I've been around this a long time. I know that you can't get everything right in a product, and you know, engineers are writing a lot of these manuals that aren't necessarily like the common working musician type of person. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. And they sometimes can overthink things. I've been behind the curtain of companies and I've seen it happen. So we're going to expose that stuff in a way that makes it, you know, palatable and makes you comfortable whether you want to buy this or not. Okay, so that's it. So, you know, I'm not endorsed by Boss, or this was not given to me with someone saying, say good things only. All right, so let's talk about the first amp model here. Let's go here. And this is called Clean, oddly enough. And what we're going to do is check this out. And it says an unembellished clean sound that minimizes the amp's idiosyncrasies, such as its trebly character and boomy low end. Well, let me tell you right there, that is one of my biggest pet peeves. Is, man, that's a lot of gobbledygook. Is it like a JC120? And if it is, can we just say that? That's what I want to know. What is this supposed to be? It sounds like a very solid state clean amp to me. And I wish they would say that. Now that being said, it sounds good. It sounds nice. Now the trick is with a lot of this stuff, play around with the level control first and get a nice sort of cooking volume, because this to me replicates more of the power amp of an amplifier. And that's where tone comes from. For me, tone comes from the power amp. We can sort of crank the gain, and you see it'll get a little dirty, but not much. It's very clean, as the name says. Yeah, like no breakup at all. Now, what would happen is, if I hadn't changed any settings in 2 seconds, it's now stored to this green channel, back to the red, and then back to the green, and it should be the clean amp. Yep, sure enough. Now, if I want to turn that ambience control down, let's do that. So it's totally dry, and I'm going to put the Golden Reverberator on. So here's some reverb from the Universal Audio pedal. And what's funny is it always sounds like a lot of reverb at first, but then once you start playing, or I could do one of the other settings. So if you want that really clean, sort of natural, I say natural, it's more solid state than tube. That's an option, and you can hear that we're getting it with adding the reverb from the effects loop. So that's pretty straightforward. Bass, middle, treble, adjust the taste, gain and level, and then your ambience if you want it. I'm going to leave the golden reverb in for a minute, and we can start to kind of take a look at the next one. And we're going to talk about also why this overdrive is in line, because ideally, we want to treat this as an amplifier. And that's what you would do. Put your pedal before the amp, right? So now we go to Twin, TWN, and that says this model's a Fender Twin Reverb. Well, thank you for doing that. So let's click it over. Whoa, there we go. Now, also what's interesting is that each amplifier comes with its own Celestion impulse response. And you'll see that there's a closed or open back cabinet assigned to them, different miking techniques, and different types of IRs as well. Okay, so that's important to take note of too. So we want to make sure that we are paying attention to that. I'm just navigating some windows while I talk to you guys. So you can hear that's kind of a lot of reverb. Let's back that down. And let's go to the Twin. Same thing I would do here as I would with any other kind of amp. I would turn the volume and level up. Well, there's some Fender breakup for you there. Let's back that down because I want my Twin to be kind of clean, and Twins can be kind of honky. So if you're somewhere here, mid-range is in the middle. That's kind of mid-rangey. A little too much gain. So let's make it sound more Fendery. Let's back that mid-range down. Now this sounds still kind of too mid-rangey for me, but it's not bad. If you've ever played, Twins, whether it's a reissue or a vintage one, they are not very forgiving usually. They're pretty stiff feeling. This kind of nails it, but in the right way. But if I was playing in a rock band and I needed some kind of like Fender, so I have a little edge of breakup sound happening there. Let's say I wanted to add my drive pedal to push it over the top. Now, one of the things I always say about this kind of stuff is the chords, the clean sounds are always tough. The chords sound pretty decent. But once you start kind of playing around with single notes, and And you'll hear a little bit of the pick noise coming through the microphone. I'm trying to stop that, but that's what you're gonna get. But it often feels as if you're playing your modeled sound. And then for me, this is really niche-y, but it sounds like there's a guitar sound underneath it as well. It's not bad. It's okay. And I'm gonna be hypercritical of modelers till the day I stop playing guitar, because these are my babies. I love amplifiers. I'll die on that hill. But I like playing around with this stuff because a lot of folks that are here watching this channel are interested in the amp modelers, the inexpensive pedals that do this. And there's a number of reasons why. And let's talk about this. Let's talk about the fact that on the back, there is a headphone jack, which I love. There's some great modelers out there that don't have headphone jacks. The UA pedals most specifically. I love the UA pedals. I think they sound really good. No headphone jack. So that's a big one. The other thing is that it has a little USB output, and that is special because in this little box, you have a guitar interface, essentially. So you could use that to record your guitar right into your iPad or your computer, anything that has a conversion to where you can take your USB-C into your computer, or into your device. And now all of them pretty much have that, so you'll be good to go. And the manual does a pretty good job of laying all that out, I have to say. So that's the twin sound. If we wanted it even cleaner, we just here's the trick. Always turn up the level. Don't be afraid. This isn't the overall level of the volume or the pedal necessarily. It's like the amp. So imagine that amplifiers have, a power amp and a preamp. You want that power amp, which is the level in this case, really cooking. Okay, that's super, super important. It's going to really help the feel of the amp model. It feels like it opened up to me by doing that. Yeah, so it's working, and we have that reverb happening. If we wanted to bring the Boss reverb in, we could. But notice how nice a really good reverb. It doesn't have to be a $400 reverb. It could be, an MXR reverb or a Boss reverb even, or RV5. That's a great pedal. I just didn't have one. But again, I'm purchasing these products to talk about them in a live capacity and to feel like we're not handcuffed by what the manufacturers want us to say. So for $199, hard to beat so far. Does it feel just like an amp to me? No, it doesn't. Am I making it work? Yes, it does. Is it cool? Is it a good bedroom amp? Is it a headphone amp? Absolutely. You get all kinds of fun stuff. And look how we have it set up. We got drive pedals. So speaking of drive pedals, let's hear that Mini Timmy against or into the twin sound. Yeah. And what the overdrive pedal does is it adds a little bit more of an organic quality to the digital sound. It really, really helps a lot. And the Timmy has a little bit of mid-range push to it, so it can help in a lead situation too, even if you wanted to crank the gain some. You can hear that mid-range honk. Right, so we're getting some good sounds out of it. Let's pull this back again. I like to do some apples to apple stuff. Yeah, so real quick, let's take a pause. I'll address the chat a little bit. We got 120 of you now in here, and it's awesome to have everybody. I hope this is valuable for everyone that is interested in a pedal like this. There's so many of them out there now. We're going to try to do a bunch of different products on the channel. Keep it fresh, keep it fun. This is going to be in lieu of me doing, less of the sort of canned demos. Although they're fun, Doing videos like that is fun. This is a way for me to educate and to not only educate, but just get you a better idea of what the pedal does without, with an unbiased approach, right? And it was Jason Carter, and I can use my fancy software. Jason Carter says it's a refreshing approach. Tell it how it is. We're trying to do that because we want everybody to spend their hard-earned money in the right spot. Yeah, so I love the fact that I can, point some of this stuff out. What's the point of these pedals when you have something like the Positive Grid Mini that will do this and more for you and much more? That's a decision, that you're going to have to make on that, because for me, I like outboard pedals. I like to be able to grab knobs. I don't like, any kind of menu. I don't like apps all that much with my stuff. So that's why somebody might like these pedals. Again, not my favorite of the bunch that are out there, but somebody's going to like this and want more than a demo saying how great it is. So that's what we're doing. We got some other friends. We got Buddy Blues says mid-range hump is what they call me on the streets. They stole that from me. No, I'm kidding. We call you mid-range hump. But I love a good mid-range hump. That's the whole point, And my buddy Peter Ferguson is joining the chat. Great to see you, Peter. So let's move on. But before we do that, take note of all of the links that BV is putting in the chat. There's a whole bunch. We're going to take a pause and show off another special one here in a bit too. But I got a course on sale today. It's an older course that I did about 3 or 4 years ago. It's called Blues Rock Connection, and it's 70% off. So less than $20. You get a handful of solos and stuff teaching you how to combine blues and rock in the sense of like, how would Bad Company do it? Or how would a funky rock thing be that wasn't just a 12-bar shuffle? And there's also lots of lessons regarding, how to get the most out of your licks and all that other kind of stuff too. Chromatic stuff. There's all types of things we can do. So I'm going to turn this down, and I'm going to take another quick pause because I want to take this guitar off of me. Well, I can't really. Sorry. But one of the other important links that BB's going to toss out, I got to take this guitar off, otherwise I'm going to be scratching the one I want to show you. We are giving away, for about 30 days or so, to enter to win this bad boy, giving away a PRS SE 594 McCarty. This is the one I got right when these guitars hit the market. Earlier this year. This and the SE DGT, we gave one of those away too. We're just lighting the internet on fire for good reason. They're a quality instrument for just under $1,000. I did a shootout with this and Epiphone. It was a Les Paul, one of the limited edition 59s. We gave that away too. We had a lucky winner. We really do have winners, and we really do give all this kind of stuff away. It's like, sometimes selling it is more of a hassle than giving it away. I know that sounds crazy because somebody would want, whatever money I could get from this, but that's not the goodwill involved. The company gives it to me to show off. I make a video, I pass it on and pay it forward. And then somebody might, like the channel or subscribe, and that's payment enough. Okay. So enter to win the PRS SE 594 McCarty. It's a great guitar. All right. Putting it back there on the couch, back to the old 335. And let's continue to talk about more stuff in this, okay? So let's go back to the manual, and we can go to Tweed. Okay, there we go. We're on Tweed now. Sorry, back in, here we go. Oh, I didn't turn, hold on, guys. Got to plug it in first. And when you have the Tweed setting, that's how I was getting that overdrive. And it breaks up in that sort of great Fender way. I'm getting a mic mute too, so when I play, I can mute the mic. But for now, you'll hear some pick noise come through. that's the basement. If we wanted to clean that up, same kind of thing. It doesn't get quite as clean as the other 2 amps. It's a dance between those 2 knobs. Let's make sure we got picture-in-picture in. But if you had this sort of basement-ish model, and then you wanted to add your drive pedals, that's feeling more like an amp when I do that. So what also could be cool, instead of a drive pedal here, is maybe just like a clean boost of, you know, any variety. There's so many of them out there. I can't even think of them. You know, like I like a Boss GE7 as a clean boost. I think it's a great clean boost. But something with a little character might make this pedal sound even more natural. And that's kind of what we're always shooting for. All right, so let's move on. Let's go to the next one, which is Fawn. Or no, Diamond. Fawn is what I'm thinking of because of the grill cloth. Diamond, because it's a diamond grill cloth. This model is a Vox AC30. Now, I've had some trouble getting this one to sound good because what we kind of want is that sort of chimey jangle. Let's see if we can get it. Same idea. And notice I really like the mid-range down on this. Normally, I'm a mid-range lover, but these models just sound a little honky. See what I mean? If you go right up the middle, there's like that sound kind of like this. Let's try to dial that out. So there's some of that jangle. That's actually pretty nice. If you want to drive it a little bit more. It's funny, it sounds better in the live stream than it did when I was demoing it on my own. Yeah. Wow, and it's taken on the character of the pedal. Okay, I'm kind of shocked by that. That's actually really good. The trick is in the mid-range, always. And that level control, I have it cranked. So I'm simulating that pedal and that amplifier really cooking. We got some people joining in. Thanks, Steven, for jumping on. Fenderbender says, is it more natural sounding than the Iridium? It's been a minute since I played an Iridium. I had one. Like all guitar players, I have stuff and then I sell it, you know. And the Iridium's pretty good. Pretty good. I have to put it back to back. I wish I could say. I'd say they both probably feel the same because all digital pedals to me kind of feel the same. Yes, Johnny Marr would like the jangle. We don't have any tremolo for him though. But yeah. And it's also all about what you play too. If you put on a Vox sound and you're trying to go, it might not be for you, especially with all that reverb, but you could hear when I'm kind of, that's the sound. That's what we're getting right there. Cool, let's move on. Let's talk about some other things, other amps. After the Diamond is the Crunch. Now it says crunch sound that uses MDP to deliver a crisp tone from all strings. That means it is multi-dimensional processing, and it's not lining up in my window good enough here, but it's Boss's own sound, multi-dimensional processing. So if we go, come on, Corey, fix your window. There we go. You guys, you should see the hoops you got to jump through by yourself. I got to get one of those stream decks to kind of like bebop me around here. Yeah, so MDP is multi-dimensional processing. It's Boss's own thing. So if we go over here and we're going to take a look and go onto Crunch. This is actually a nice crunch sound. Again, mid-rangey, kinda. Sounds like my right side got louder again. I don't know why. Man, it's actually sounding better today than it did yesterday. But you could hear, man, if you're rocking with that, try, let's hear how it works with the volume control on your guitar. Another good test. Little edge of breakup, not bad. Throw our Timmy on. Okay, all right, that's pretty good. That sounds pretty good. The thing is, this is all about options with this stuff. It's all about getting the most bang for your buck. For players that are gonna watch this that are like touring musicians, they might just use one sound, or they might be able to go back and forth. I could see somebody like my buddy Peter, who was on the stream in the chat. He's a wonderful touring musician, and he might get use out of something that does maybe the twin sound on one and then the AC30 on the other. And again, why we're doing this is it's all about dialing it in. And I get really frustrated when I get these pieces of gear because they don't inherently work just like an amplifier. They're supposed to, but they don't. You have to learn the quirks of the pedal. I will die on that hill as well. There is a feeling of analog controls that a digital control doesn't have. So you have to be able to really have time to work with these things and make it work into your rig. So, all right, so the crunch sound, that's Boss's own thing. Nice, let's hear what it's got. So by turning up the gain all the way, I'm getting as much overdrive as I want, or as I can out of that model. We added some of the bigger reverb. Yeah. So, lots and lots of fun. All right, let's take a look. The chat is rocking, BV is rocking, and everybody, please just give a thumbs up and a clap for BV for being the YouTube's best guitar moderator there is. It's an honor to have him working with me. He never says no. He just says, hey, I'm going to be out of town. You know, BV is a champ. Let's see, where am I going? Where am I going? Oh, I want to go and look at the manual again. Here we go. Okay, so now we have Brit. So this is going to be your Marshall. And if I remember correctly from my demos, we'll go to this. Let's go over to camera 2. Ooh, gets naughty in a bit. Yeah, let's do this. Let's take that reverb off. So that's all the way up. Let's see if we can get a cleanish sound out of a Marshall. See, this is the one thing it doesn't do very well, is give you that big Marshall aggressive clean thing. If I had a Strat, it might do it a little bit because the lower output of the Strat might help not push it as much. But you can hear that transformer of a Marshall, but this is probably, as I go through them, the one I'm least impressed with so far. But for the most part, when we think about Marshall, we're thinking about high gain. So if we crank this up and play some, it's pretty bright, which Marshalls are, so we want to dial that treble back. Oh, hear that mid-range gets honky quickly. But if you're recording and you needed that sound, this might be cool. So when you use an amp for what it's naturally intended for, I say naturally intended for, intended in the mind of the beholder here who made this pedal. So it does that well. You know, for $199, is it gonna have all the nuances of every amp? Probably not, but it's gonna get the sweet spot. That's, as I crack my knuckle on my face. That's the thing with most gear that we want to keep in mind is something's always going to be sacrificed. That's why, you know, a $400 reverb pedal has what it has because they spared no expense to make this thing the way it is. You know, the reverb in this is very basic and it sounds that way because they can't put all the DSP horsepower assigned to the reverb, otherwise your cabinets would suffer, or your amps would suffer, I should say. So that's a little bit, you know, of the thing that we want to consider about this gear at this price point. Now, what we could do is we could switch over to the red channel. We could go back. It sees all our settings. What you have to do with digital pedals is you have to kind of like move the knob, and then it picks up. Okay, it knows where you're at. So that's something to always consider. Now, if I don't muck with that for a while, that's going to become my channel 2. Now, if I go to green channel, it's gonna still be back to the Marshall because that's where we were. But if I went back to clean, for instance, now there's my green channel and then back to the Marshall. Pretty cool. You know, I could see that being an issue if like a knob got turned by a cable or a knob got accidentally turned and your settings got messed up. But the beautiful thing about knobs is that you can always turn it back, right? All right, so the Marshall's sounding pretty good. We like that. The next one is high gain. This is also, this one I kind of like because it says high gain sound that uses MDP to obtain high gain sound with a wide range and great feeling sense of separation. So what people mean when they say that kind of stuff, and again, the engineer speak is always tricky to decipher. But that's why we're doing these things. Let's go back over to green. Well, let's stay in red. And then we'll go to high gain. Let's make sure I have the right one on there. There we go. Sorry, guys. Hard to see because I have the camera overhead. What they mean by that is that these notes, when you play big chords, hopefully you hear in a lot of overdrive, a lot of distortion. Hopefully you hear the notes ringing out. So this is where you're getting really big lead sounds now, and as you kind of go through the amp dial. This wants the treble to come back because it does keep, you know, that Marshall-y one was brighter as Marshalls would be. This one needs more treble. Even though there's reverb happening on that pedal, let's bring the golden back in. And one thing you'll notice too is I don't have a lot of bass happening. That's on purpose. When you're recording or you're playing in a situation like this, you want to, low end is the first thing that will really devour your guitar sound in a bad way. So if I turned it up, it's starting to get woolly on me already. As I turn it down, it's going to get, these low notes are going to get more defined. Yeah, that sounds cool. And what you can always do is add distortion, add overdrive to a crunch sound. It's just the fact of the matter is that all of these modular pedals always sound better in the overdriven world. The cleans are probably, I'm going to say 75% there on this pedal. That 25% is important though. It's really, really important. Do I think I could get along with it? Yeah, that Vox sound, that actually, I got that pretty close. And that just comes from years of playing different amplifiers. I mean, guys, And, you know, if my friend Peter's still on this, who was here, you know, we have, when we tour and we use rental equipment, they call it backline equipment. And you never know what you're going to get. You might get a twin, you might get a deluxe, you might get a Vox, you might get a Marshall. And it's important to kind of understand how some of these things really, really work, you know, as far as dialing in amps and dialing in the characteristics of them or accentuating them, okay? So let's move on. I just clicked the knob. Actually, I'll do it so you guys can see. Bam, one more little click. And we'll take a look at the manual. Okay, this one, Soldano. This is the one I had, I think, the biggest issue with, because I like SLO 100s. And typically SLO 100s, and just keep note of what I'm doing. Sometimes I'm turning off this reverb, which is in the loop. For those of you that are just joining us, I have this Golden Reverberator in the loop of this pedal. I have an overdrive in the front, like you normally would do with an amplifier. It does have its own onboard reverb, which sounds okay, but for a better experience, we're using the reverb that's here. Yeah, so this is the one that's kind of one I'm not into. And it's not because I don't like Soldanos. I do like Soldanos. It just doesn't feel like it to me. So, and I'm trying to get a low gain setting out of it because that's what Soldanos do really well to me. That sort of, I mean, obviously they do high gain good, but this doesn't, I don't know, this one isn't doing it for me. Yeah, and I want to say also too, you're hearing pick noise a lot of times come through. I'm gonna work on next week, I already ordered it from Sweetwater, a little mute switch where if I can turn a knob, hit a switcher, hit a pedal to mute my amp, mute my microphone, you know, I'll be able to spin plates and stuff and try to take some of that out because I don't want you guys to hear that pick sound. It's really hard to dial it out. I tried a noise gate, but it just makes the microphone feel really weird. So that's the Soldano. Let's give it some high gain, see what happens. Let's play around. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, I can tell immediately it's just not for me. There's just an edge to it that I'm not into. I can't really clean it up. It just sounds a little sort of too in your face. So that one's a miss. That SLO 100 type sound doesn't feel like it to me. All right, let's go on to Brown. Lead sound with a distinctive edge. This is going to be Brown sound. Typically they mean modded Marshall. And that would be something like this. Okay, before I do that though, let's take a quick pause. Address the chat. I don't think there's anything in the chat I missed other than Jason Carter's taken off to go grab a bite. There's been, is it Beve? Am I saying your name wrong, BV, all these times? But hey, I'm an American. This is how we read. This is how we decipher language. But thanks for everybody for chiming in. Please, if you got any questions, fire them off in the chat. Please take a look at all of the great links and stuff that we have. Let me join you here on a #1 camera. All the links that are in the chat. Currently, there's links for a course called Blues Rock Connection that I put out several years ago. It's got 3 hours of content, but it's under $20 on sale this weekend, 70% off. We're talking about the Boss IR-2. This gear and these sort of, the gear that I'm using in these style of videos, these live streams that we're doing now, I'm trying to buy the gear because I want to give a really honest opinion about this stuff. When it's a video that's sponsored by a company, it's in bad form to say that you don't like something when they're giving you the product or paying you to do a presentation. Anyway, so that's kind of what we do because we want to be honest. There's too many of those videos out there that says everything's great, and it's impossible. So we're talking about stuff that we like and we don't care for about products, and that's the way we're going to keep doing these live streams. I think it's a lot of fun. It's fun for me. I'm enjoying it. So also, BB's got less links up there, not only for that course. We talked about the great PRS SE 594. Maybe we'll plug that in and have a listen to that. We're giving that away here on the channel. We're gonna extend that maybe even through the holidays, so somebody has a chance to order it and get a fun Christmas present on us in my site, Working Class Guitar. Now, what else do we want to talk about? Like the channel, subscribe if you haven't. Definitely click that like button. It takes half a second. That will help get this video out. You guys did a great job of that with that Klon video that we did and the Not a Klon from JHS. That was so much fun. That video helped reach a bunch of people, and I'm getting good feedback from it. So thanks for all your support in that. And check out all the other things like tip jars and affiliate links for these products. If you want to buy any of these products that we're showcasing today through our Sweetwater links, the site and the channel gets a little bit of a commission. So thanks so much for all the support. And we're at 82,000 subscribers. It would be great early next year to get to 100. That's the goal. Okay, so we went on to the Brown sound. That's sort of our EVH. Let's make this thing sound good here if we can. Let's go back to 2. So you can hear when I'm rolling in the low end, I'm bringing the low end in, and it's getting a little chunkier. But it's a little woolly there on the bottom, so let's alter that. It's a fine line, you gotta use your ears. And it's so interesting. Once you start to gain it up, it gets a little out of hand. I still want even less low end. So that one's okay. Not bad. Not bad. Not too bad. It's a little too much overdrive for me. It's just gonna get bigger and crazier from there as we go up. But I want that bite. I'm not getting it from the mid-range enough. That's another thing. The frequency spectrum on this mid-range control is a little bit less than desirable for me, but this is a nitpicking session. Yeah. That was okay. That was all right. What do we got next? We got modded. So this is another MDP sound. So this means core sound that uses MDP to preserve the definition of the sound, even with extreme gain. So we're getting extreme gain here. Like, do we need more? Maybe. No, I kind of like that higher gain setting better. That has more of the edge I want in a high gain sound. And I can probably bring the low end back in. Yeah, it feels good. So that's a nice high gain setting there. So what did we find? 2 or 3 that we weren't crazy about? Again, that's pretty good considering probably most of us are going to use 1 or 2 sounds. That's probably the case with most guitar products, right? So there's a couple other things in the manual I wanted to skim with you guys. Whoa, I'm using the wrong button here. Again, when you get the manual, it's going to tell you what all these switches do. Again, there's a headphone jack. There's the USB. We've talked about all that stuff. Here's the amp and cabinet list. This is the most important thing to me. And then it's telling you about the IR stuff. So that's in there. It tells you some different ways that you can connect the pedal, which I think is really cool. Obviously, you can hook it up to your phone, you can hook it to your computer, a mixer, i.e. to go to a PA system. And it says specifying the amp to connect. This is really cool because you'll notice, see this knob layout. This is one of the things they do when they want you to kind of make adjustments before you plug the pedal in. You have to kind of turn the knobs as they tell you. And then all of these examples are different kinds of amps that you'd be plugging into, because if you were to put this pedal into an amplifier, the problem is that you are plugging an amp into an amp, and that's going to get real crosstalky and weird. So they tell you some ways that are preferable to plug this in, and there's ways to do that. Talks about operating the channel selector. We talked about that. Different ways you can use the foot switch. They are, of course, advertising the Boss foot switches if you didn't want to use the pedal switch. Example of editing and saving. We've done that. We've done all that. Turning the amp and cabinet off. This is cool because you actually may want to be in a position where you're maybe just using the preamp and not the cabinet. Maybe you're going into a real amplifier that has a speaker. That's all important too. So you want to be paying attention to that. Selecting the ambience type. This was another good one because you can see that it has a room, hall, and plate, and those are underneath the clean, twin, and tweed knobs. So what I did was when I turned this pedal on, I followed the knob layout, I did what they said here, and I added the plate reverb. So what we're hearing is, I'm not going to do it today, but if we go to like a clean sound, turn this back up, and we turn the reverb off on the pedal, now you're just hearing the ambience knob here. So that's your built-in reverb. So great little practice solution for sure. If we were to select the input pedal for input for return, this is for like stereo reverbs, stereo effects. There's your USB modes if you're doing a computer or such. And then of course a factory reset, changing the battery, all that kind of stuff. So I think we did it. Wow, I think we covered everything this pedal has to offer in an hour. And we've had a pretty good time. I've had a good time. I'm going to look at the chat with you guys. Let's take a look at some of this stuff. If I look up, it's just because I'm monitoring what you guys are saying, but I can also see it here. Jason Perry says, let's find Jason Perry. Let's highlight Jason Perry. And there's a way that I can actually adjust. Oh, look, I can do this. Let's see. Let's make this a different color. Let's make it black. There we go. Can't believe I can do that so quickly. It's crazy. Huge fan of Corey's content on TrueFire too. Well, thank you for that. TrueFire has been just the way that I got started teaching guitar online. I owe a lot to them. 19 courses at TrueFire, but all courses from here on out will be at my site, workingclassguitar.com. It's my own universe. We have an amazing program going on there with not only courses for sale, but you can do a VIP membership, which for a low monthly cost, not only gets you access to everything every month for the site, but we do Zoom calls like this that are just private between the members. You can ask me questions, we can teach, we can do all that kind of stuff, and people love it, and we have a really good time. So, Rando G Jams, let's see if I can make sense of this. Just bought a Hot Tone Omni IR pedal. Interesting, and allows users to remove the IR and use it in a DAW or other manufacturer pedal. So I question the sources for these cabs. You know, are they for real? I think they are. You know, because why would Boss, you know, and Celestion not work together on this kind of thing? Boss pedals do never disappoint. They're built like tanks. Can't disagree with you there. Also, I have a Fender Super Champ with 14 early versions of an attempt at IR, but when used with new IR, it comes to life. That's the thing, and the right impulse response can really bring a pedal to life. I had trouble with the amps in the Line 6 HX Stomp, And then people told me, hey, just put some new R's against the amps and they'll sound a lot better. I got frustrated and didn't get that far. But, and Thomas Ross says, let's highlight Thomas. Thanks, my friend. Been a VIP since day one and it's worth the money. I can even move you around there. How about that? Well, thank you so much, Thomas. There's so much more coming your way. Thomas is a VIP on my site, Working Class Guitar, where we meet once a month and also have access to all those great lessons. Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Jason is excited about the courses being offered as well. This pedal does not have an auxiliary in. That's something to consider if you want to run, your own, your phone or your computer into it and plug your headphones and mix along. I've practiced that way with some other devices in a hotel and it really, really worked well. I have not spoken to Oshi about the IRs are real. I don't know Yoshi, but I imagine all the IRs are very real. They sound real to me. These pedals wouldn't sound the way they sound without, good IRs. And people have good things to say about the Celestion ones. I don't get in the weeds of the impulse response world too much because there's just so many. And I won't play guitar. I'll just be listening to impulse responses all day. That's another danger. And that's another part of these live streams that I'm doing with this gear. Let's get the stuff out of the way to learn how to use this stuff and make music with it first. I just noticed too, let's go back to the green channel. Not that it really matters. We got our twin dialed up. What I did notice is although you do have a channel select, you can hold that pedal and then it bypasses. So that's just the guitar. Oh man, got the hiccups. Going straight into the computer. So that's the guitar by itself. Trying to get away from the microphone there. So you could kill it by stepping on it and holding it and then bringing it back. Yeah, so there you have it. Let's stop right here. This has been a great hour. Everything's gone according to plan, thankfully. BB says that these IRs are definitely real in this pedal. I wouldn't think they were anything but real, but thanks for clarifying that. That's why we pay you the big bucks here, BB. You're the best moderator on YouTube. Knows everybody, knows everything. Give him a music theory question, he's on it. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. All right, so look, y'all, that was awesome. You guys are troopers for hanging in there for an hour talking about the Boss IR-2. I'm easy to find on Instagram, my email, Corey@CoreyCongilio.com. I can post it in here. There we go. Put it in the chat for you guys. If you have gear that you're interested in, now I'm probably not going to be buying a Tone Master and a Quad Cortex. Those are expensive products. Those will probably be ones we'd have to have donated. But for these kind of things, I'm loving just buying some little gear here and there. We're going to do a big Noble shootout. We're going to do the Keeley Noble Screamer. We're going to do the Karma. We're going to do the Nordland, a Shanks from Vremeram. We'll do my original Nobles. I'm like, that's going to be fun. It's going to be really, really cool. I'm going to have to set the old Nobles up and let it be plugged in because those jacks and knobs are ready to fall off. And I'll have the gold edition Nobles anniversary pedal too. So there's going to be a lot of stuff. So drop me a message if there's some gear that you think would be really worth me deep diving in. But a lot of the stuff that has multifunctionality, I think it's worth us sitting down and talking through and really seeing if it's worth our money. But $199, if you're interested in it, click the link, help the channel out if you buy it. If you're not, tell me what you like, what you don't like. I'd love to hear it. All these products that we talked about today, they're all available for purchase at Sweetwater through the affiliate links. They help the channel out. So that's it. Great stuff. I really, really had fun. Big thanks to everybody. Please click the like button at the bare minimum. That would be awesome if you enjoyed this. There's over 100 of you that's been here for a while. And also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. I'd love it. We're on our quest to 100,000. It'd be awesome to have you as a subscriber. Let's see what else. Don't forget, Blues Rock Connection. That's a course I put out a few years ago that really helps to blend blues and rocks together with great licks and understanding why they work, as well as some different cool solos and lessons in there. It's under 20 bucks this weekend. Great sale. Let's talk about finally. See, now what we can do is we can do the hold. We can turn that off. We can unplug. While we're here, let's get that PRS. Somebody's gonna win this. I love that sound. That's just a guitar by itself. Yeah. Wow, that's the twin. That sounds nice. That sounds really nice. Let's do some of that juicier reverb, a little Timmy. Get some single coil action. So enter to win this guitar. This is a PRS SE 594. We're giving this away. It's the last guitar giveaway of the year. We'll hope to do more next year, but PRS is so gracious with us. They sent us the demo quite a while ago, and it's been sitting here, and it's going to go to one of you guys. So, or gals. So, or kids. I don't know who's watching this. But be sure to enter with the link in the chat. We'll also put it in the description once this video airs live. So let's call it a day. Thank you to everybody. We're going to be back hopefully next week with some new gear. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned because we love to reconnect with everybody doing the live stream. So subscribe to the channel and hit the button to like the video. And when you subscribe, maybe ring the bell notification if we still do that nowadays. That way you'll know when I put out these live streams. All right. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you being with me for an hour. We'll see you next time.